almost hit end stream immediately. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Under Construction. I'm your host, Ellis, otherwise known as the Admiral. That goes in there. And we have some scenery work to do today, but before we do, of course, the obligatory weekly game of not Tetris. Just make sure that that's on. There it is. Alright, cool. Hide this for a sec so I can see the stream chat as people start to filter in. Let's see if we can get another high score. Oh wait, I should probably put this over here so I get a line done immediately. And then I'll get this guy right there. I'm doing quite good. I was out on site today. Oh, god damn it. Great way to start. Doing work in the field. I know some other folks in the Discord were too, doing similar things. Had to see a man about a truss. Well, I didn't, but someone did. I had to see a man about a regular bridge, standard highway overpass, and associated intersections. Alright, let's try to get this to the bottom without touching the edge. Okay, close enough. To either side. Boop. Okay, can I get this in here? Tyler will immediately join the stream, scream, and then leave. There we go. There we go. There we go. Alright, I am not thinking for the future right now. I need to scoot this guy all the way over to here. And then I need to fit this guy against the wall. I'm getting better at this game. I'm beginning to look at the next pieces I have and try to figure out how to integrate them. Let's put this over here. Put that right there. This maybe I can just fit against the wall here. And this, I'm going to build a bridge. And that actually worked. Okay, cool. There we go. If you're showing up and you're like, what the hell's going on? Why is he playing a game that sort of looks like Tetris but clearly isn't? I just do this to let people filter in. You know, a lot of, hello, Dragon. A lot of people, you know, they have their little cards that come up before streams that's like, oh, the stream will start soon. I've got this instead. I don't want to spend any time not being an active participant in the stream, but I still want to have enough time for people to get in before I start the main event. So, not Tetris it is. And we have a pretty good thing going right now. But things are going to get dicey very soon, I fear. Let's fit this guy against the wall. Let's fit this guy against the other wall, although I could have tried to slide him down in between the two different kinds of Z pieces. There we go. Some people love to point out that one of the like official Tetris pieces is called a Rhode Island Z. I'm fairly certain I've read that the names of the pieces are unofficial and they're from like a fan guide or something. But once I'm done with this, today we will be getting on to some of the scenery work between, or you know, just I suppose that would be west of Pan Am. We have some fields to make, and that's kind of it. We just need to close the gaps between the fields and the actual track, because we don't have a ton of, you know, we don't have a ton of really fancy stuff to do. That whole area is going to be pretty straightforward and bland. I would figure most of it is tended by people who live in either Pan Am or Bellington. So it's not an area that we're going to need a bunch of homesteads. It's relatively newer farms. We just have to fill that area up. And yeah, a lot of it I can do with some copy pasting, but the bits that we have left, or most of the stuff that we have left, is actually going to have to be done by hand because it's the stuff right up against the track. That was a mistake. We just made two pretty substantial mistakes in a row. Hopefully that doesn't mean the end of our run is coming. Uh-oh. Could make an itty-bitty farm town. Well, that's what Pan Am was supposed to be, and then it turned into something more than that. I'm not sure if there would be another little farm town. Genuinely, I'm not sure if there would be the room for it. I'm panicking. God damn it. Alright. Oh, we had such a good beginning. Alright, let's get on to the, let's get on to the actual episode here. So, yeah, so if you think about it, right, and I could pull open the map for later, but I don't know if there would be another town between Pan Am here and Bellington here. There might be another little, like a little sort of settlement or singular mills like this, but I don't know about that. Maybe there would be, maybe there wouldn't be. I would kind of have to go look at a contemporary example or like a real life example to see what might be there. Now, we have our road here, and the thing is, this road is only on one side of the tracks. Now, I don't really know what to do about getting it to the other side because, well, I don't think I'm going to build an underpass or an overpass here. I would probably more quickly make a road that comes out like this and then crosses here and then runs up the side of the river. Or crosses and then runs inland like this. Now, if we put another box here, let's see, what's a color that we haven't used at this end very much? Probably this one. And these boxes are what? I said they're about 1 kilometer. It might have been. Might have been in that vicinity. Let's mark that off again so that we get the road on this side. And what we don't want is this, but we do want everything else. Let's try that again. Okay, we'll call that good enough. And what we'll do is we'll make a dirt road. Yeah, see, this is going to be a sort of vaguely methodical process to fill all these spaces in. And yeah, I mean, maybe there could be like a little town right before the road river here. But I just don't think there would be. Maybe there would be something off to the side a little ways. I'm already yawning. That bodes well. Orion, hello. How bad did the smoke get for y'all? I will say it was like nothing I've ever seen, but in truth, it's not that bad. I haven't seen very much wildfire smoke in my life. So, you know, we've had some very localized issues in some years past, but I have seen nothing like this. It was pretty hazy. Here's a town and sees the station. Yeah, no, I just am thinking about, the first thing that comes to mind is, what would the stop sort of look like? And the answer to me is that there wouldn't be one. I mean, if it's smaller than Pan Am, and Pan Am looks like this, you know, what on earth is an even smaller town going to look like? And the answer is that the train just blows right through, you know. Especially since it's already the 50s. There have probably been some cutbacks in passenger service already. Um, but yeah. And it's true that, to come back to it for a minute, the sort of situation with the wildfires is pretty rough. Thankfully, it's not too bad over here, but it does smell like a campfire outside. Um, I know that's a very sort of benign way of looking at it, to say, "Oh, yeah, it smells like a campfire. That's that's interesting or whatever." But I mean, thankfully, nobody I know has had ill effects from the smoke. Um, Yet, anyway. But I don't know if it's on the upswing yet. I don't know if it's going to get better from here. So, with any luck, that keeps up, and we don't have to worry about it too much. It's been a lot worse in a lot of other places. Thankfully, I'm not in, say, upstate New York or anything. I'm not in, uh, obviously, Canada. I'm not in Quebec. I'm not anywhere near the wildfires. I am just sort of way out here. But I've seen better responses from California and their mismanagement. Well, I feel like the difference is California's used to it. You know, uh, California's had a lot more experience. Love them or hate them, they've had a lot more experience dealing with wildfires, uh, and they know how to mitigate them, or at least make the impact, lessen the impact of them, or sort of take care of them more quickly. Uh, I don't feel like the response has been up to that par, mostly because this isn't a typical sort of event. At least it hasn't been in the past. Uh, so I can understand the Canadian government being a little bit slow in the uptake of dealing with this sort of situation, especially in Quebec. I mean, it's not a place known for forest fires, certainly. We can add some for our smoke on Saturday night. Yeah, I know. I love getting the notification on my phone, or I got it on the computer a minute ago. It just says downpour tomorrow, and I'm looking at that and going, well, all right then. I guess it's going to downpour tomorrow. I'm gonna put this here so I can cut it in half. Let's rotate that. It's something that I haven't seen. You know, the weather, of course, has been increasingly wacky for obvious reasons, um, but I just have never seen downpour tomorrow as a notification. You know, good evening, Pat. Welcome back from Italy. I know you got back a little while ago, but I don't think I got to say welcome back to you when you landed, or since you've landed. Let's see, I've got to do this. I've got to do this. I'm just going to wing this. I know what I could do or should do or have done in the past is just copy paste over this whole area and then fix it, But modeling the DM&E in the next year or two in a 4x8. 4x8s are not too bad. It's a pretty good idea, honestly. Pretty good deal to keep the size down, and thus, of course, the cost down. I remember asking you this question long ago, but I'm asking again, see if your answer has changed. Are there any abandoned railway track of any kind that we have not seen? Like on the map or yet to be built? Because there's plenty of abandoned stuff that is yet to be built that we will get to eventually. whatever of it that I decide needs to appear in the map, and that isn't too far sort of out of out of scope, because obviously I'm not going to be building tiles of scenery for abandoned track. But there is some stuff that's on the map that is abandoned, and we've added, we've added a little bit since then. One of those places, or the only one I can think of right now, is over here with this curve that heads down the river, which would have peeled off of this about right here. You'll notice that the ground here is still raised, and it would have gone through the brush here, and you'll notice that at some point you'll see some track in the bushes here. There it is. And it would cross this road and curve down and go out. And yeah, Pan Am also does have a little... Pan Am has the remnants of what would have been a spur previously in the middle of this yard here. Yes, baby? Yeah? Okay. You cut it? I'm so proud of you. Okay, have some pizza then. Don't wait for me. Let's see. You can if you want to, but honestly, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, just leave it for now. I might change my mind later, but I want to get some stuff done, and I'm not going to be doing AI today, so... Oh, you know what I can do? I can, instead of pasting with the texture, I can just paste with the trees. And then we'll trim off the excess. We also need to go along this edge here and put the bushes, the bush lines. But this is where it starts. I mean, I hope to be relatively efficient about this. I hope to be relatively efficient about this and get this section done in maybe a handful of episodes. I mean, most of the work is already done. It's just the sort of tedium that's left. Obviously, we have to do the stuff between the tracks and the edge. And the edge of the fields, I should say. But a small blow-through town, look up Peach Orchard, Arkansas. Yeah, let's look that up. Peach Orchard, Arkansas. Oops, I put AK instead of AR. Peach Orchard, Alaska. Yeah, it's pretty small. I mean, given the volume of buildings, it's much smaller, but given the sort of number of blocks, it's not really that incomparable to Pan Am itself. 1 or 2 units, ST40, GP40, grain hoppers, 50-foot boxcars. It might be neat to do. I'm always fascinated with Granger roads. You guys know that. That's why we talked about the Mansfield Branch Railway last episode. A railroad. I am a little bit fascinated with Grangers because we don't have anything like that over here, and they are a sort of very specific breed of railroad that, I've never really laid eyes upon. The closest thing to a Granger that I've ever laid eyes upon is, I suppose, the Strasbourg Railroad. I know they don't exactly count, at least not anymore, but they fit the bill in sort of a miniature scale. If they had a grain elevator for the Amish, that'd be very interesting. Let's move this. Speaking of which, I believe they just finished their work on their new yard, which is also very neat on its own. I'd like to get out there and see it, but unfortunately, in coming home from Ohio next month and doing the whistle-stop tour of Pennsylvania, I just don't have the time to do Strasbourg again. It will be a very quick, breakfast in Pittsburgh or breakfast in very far eastern Ohio. Go drive through Pittsburgh, go to Horseshoe Curve, go to the EBT just to like pop our heads in and see the place. I doubt they'll be doing anything, but the last time I was there, it was, a ghost town. Um, so, first I'm gonna try and capture is Rapid City, North Dakota. Hubbard Feed Mill. Let's look that up. Hubbard Feed Mill, South Dakota. Rapid City. Oh, I found their website. They have a website, though. That's nice. That's something I don't have yet. Okay, Rapid Valley, Rapid City. Of course, it's... Oh, I get it. It's not saying that it's very fast. It's saying that, oh, this place is pretty big. It's saying rapids, as in rapids on the river. Another thing that I don't get particularly familiar with. Not necessarily because there were no rivers with rapids in Rhode Island, but because all of the rivers with any sort of drop at all got dammed in the 1700s to make, 1800s, but honestly 1700s, to make, mills and to make textiles mostly. You think about how industry is sort of a self-feeding thing. The first industries that crop up in places that are getting developed tend to be these textile industries because everybody needs textiles, you know? Places that are developed that don't have a lot of anything else, it's always textiles. Just find that interesting. All right, let's paint the ground here, and then we'll put in one more field in the corner. There's a small child outside screaming. Getting a Granger and putting that together is probably going to be great. Keep an eye out tomorrow night at about, let's see, should be 7 Mountain? No, sorry, 7. What was said? Need to check that chat again, but it looked like what did I say? 7 your time. So 7, so 9 my time. Okay. I forgot how time zones worked for a minute there. I was like, wait, 2 hours before, 2 hours after? Yeah, keep an eye out at around that time. I may be playing Railway Empire 2, which is a game that I have not opened yet and do not know how to play, and I've never played the first one. My only experience with it was watching Heiss and Leighton play on a stream some time ago. All right, I don't know what to do with these trees. We're just gonna have to blow these trees away. So I'm gonna be trying really hard to not screw it up, and I'm going to spend some time learning the game. If anyone has played Railway Empire 2 and has tips and tricks for me, I would very much appreciate them. If you're watching now, or if you happen to watch this VOD in the next day or so, please chime in if it's a game that you're familiar with. It's not a game that I'm familiar with. I'm not familiar with the series at all. I looked up a little bit about it. I started watching a brief tutorial series. I should probably do the tutorials myself, but I do not have time. The nice thing about watching a tutorial series is I can put it on while I'm at work. I don't learn very much because I'm not paying attention to it, but at least it's there. I just try to learn by osmosis. Honestly, I don't have too many positive opinions of the game yet, but I hope I do by the end of tomorrow. That's the thing. I don't know exactly what to think of it. It reminds me a lot of Railroad Tycoon. And I guess Sid Meier's Railroads was like that. In these tycoon games where you don't buy the freight cars, or you don't buy the passenger cars, you don't buy the rolling stock, I guess is the right word. You only have to care about maintaining your fleet of engines. And it's not necessarily unrealistic to do so, because there are plenty of freight car leasing firms out there, but you don't really pay the price for that in the game either. The cars just sort of appear attached to your locomotives. You just provide the service of moving things from point A to point B. You don't provide the container that they come in. It seems cool, but I think it begins to become repetitive. Uh, yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, Railroad Tycoon games, just in general, they need to try pretty hard to make the loop interesting. One of the reasons I created the set of mods that makes up the Extreme OpenTTD set, or Extreme Experimental Expert Mode, otherwise known as XXX mode, which if you are on our Discord and you are fan rank, you can play right now. We have an OpenTTD server that is running at this very moment. The reason I like that so much is because the game conditions are sort of ever changing and you have to keep adapting. And moreover, since it has the Extreme Industry set, which has an absurd amount of industries and commodities, there's always something, there's always an industry opening, and there's always an opportunity for you to pick your brain and see if you can get more out of your system. One of the things that I was waffling on was cargo distribution, like automatic cargo distribution. I eventually decided against that because I wanted people to have to figure things out on their own instead of cargo just deciding it wants to go places. But anyway, back to Railway Empire. I don't know exactly what I think of it yet. Like I said, it does seem to be following in the footsteps of Railroad Tycoon, where it's a much more top-down, a much more abstracted version of railroad tycooning, of transport management, slightly more abstracted anyway, and also it's explicitly just railroads. I guess I think the fact that you can do things other than trains kind of goes underappreciated for me in a lot of tycoon games. I grew up playing Railroad Tycoon 3, and I also grew up playing Locomotion, as you guys know. And Locomotion had all the stuff available. Of course, I spent all my time with trains. These days, I spend a lot more time with everything under the sun because of the settings of the Extreme Experimental mode that I mentioned earlier in OpenTTD. But the fact that Railway Empire abstracts the freight car management out of it does save you in one respect. It does add one thing, sort of. More realistic have more than one. Yeah, no, I agree, but realism isn't necessarily the end goal of every game. Otherwise, you might as well just play trains, Uh, uh, hey, Bryson. Also, hey, Mopac. I don't think I said hello to Mopac. But yeah, so I got the notification late. It's okay. You just missed Tetris, and, well, you didn't miss Tetris. And we're just talking about Railway Empire 2, a game that was given to me by fellow denizen of the Discord, Northern Isle. Very kind of him to send me that. And yeah, I'm going to get to play it soon. I'll probably be playing it tomorrow night. But yeah, that's the sort of deal is it abstracts away the freight car management. And that is, well, it's a little bit of a mixed bag. Because, as we've discussed, yeah, Railway Empire got a sequel. As we've discussed in the past with OpenTTD and its limitations and the idea of a switchyard building, or a switchyard specific game even, the thing that OpenTTD and its fellow titles doesn't do is allow you to put freight cars between trains. They have to go from point A to point B, or at least they have to go everywhere the locomotive goes. You can't pull... you can't, swap a new engine onto the train when you're going into the mountains. You can have... Yes, hi Falco. Sorry, Mopag asked. I was like... Bryson's just sort of stating his self. And I am Ellis. Just in case you guys didn't know. Um, Speaking of which, a bunch of people in the Discord are getting their usernames rolled out, and I'm probably going to be pretty low on the list because I haven't. I've been a Discord member since 2019 because I was a long, long time holdout on Skype. So hopefully I'll get Admiral Ellis. I had to sign up for a website yesterday, and I had to do Admiral underscore Ellis, which is something that I hate. Uh, but you know, you can't always get what you want. I should probably just bite the bullet and go get Admiral underscore Ellis on Xbox Live because I've been Trainman 1337 on there forever and ever and ever. Um, and if I can change that on Steam as well, I probably will. Um, yeah, no, I'm one of many Trainmen. That was the issue. That was why I moved away from Trainman. It is there are so many Trainmans out there. Even I mean, we still have one in the Discord anyway. One person who identifies as Trainman, and that'd be Matt, Trainman05. I think TJ was a Trainman something for a while. Oh, he was the Trainman. Yeah. Um, yeah, and I had Bombs321 on Discord, on YouTube, because that was the first username that I ever came up with on my own. Uh, I used that username, and I've told this story before, but I've used that username. I used it for RuneScape. That was my original usage of the Bombs321 username. I wonder if my RuneScape account is still around. I know I lost that one and then had to get Trainman96, and that was the beginning of an era for me. But in between then, I was like, yeah, Bombs321 is the funniest thing ever. You know, I thought, 321 countdown, kaboom. Yeah, the thought process there is fairly obvious. I was probably like 7 years old. Um, and 7 years old would have been 2003, so obviously too young for YouTube. But I didn't actually make a. I had a YouTube account long before I had a YouTube channel. Whatever, we're getting in the weeds here. Um, Point is, yeah, Bombs321 is my OG name, and then I was Trainman96 for a long time, and then I sort of settled on Admiral Ellis, and I like that more than anything, not just because I was able to get it on most platforms. Not that Trainman96 was necessarily a problem, but I did run into it on two platforms, that being Xbox and Steam. Steam. Um, and I said, well, I don't like this. Uh, but also because it's more me, it is more unique, and that is beneficial in two ways. You know, it represents me. I am not one of many Trainmen. I am the Admiral. There aren't too many Admiral Ellises floating around. There is an actual dude in the U.S. Navy who is an admiral whose last name is Ellis, which my first name is Ellis. So if you Google Admiral Ellis, you'll probably just get him. But CSX68, yeah. Uh, also every single YouTube channel that is Signal Aspect name Productions, or whatever. It's always Productions, and I find it funny how everyone has just decided that Signal Aspects are just the way to make usernames now. I'll always be Train Man. Says Train Man. I'm pretty sure you'll always be Train Man. But that was also kind of, that was an era because I never really. I think there was a very brief period where I referred to myself or introduced myself in videos as Bombs321, and then eventually I just settled on, no, like, I'm Train Man, that's who I am. I managed to get Admiral Ellis on Minecraft. I managed to get Admiral underscore Ellis in, again, the thing that I signed up for yesterday, which I don't remember what it was. What the heck was I making an account for yesterday? Can't remember. It wasn't a work thing, otherwise I wouldn't have done Admiral Ellis. What was I doing yesterday? I was registering something. Yeah, Approach Medium, I bet, I would wager, that Approach Medium's success has directly contributed to the fact that there are so many Signal Aspect productions around. uh, because everyone would want to follow that formula. I don't blame them, but it is a little bit unimaginative. Uh, Now, the funny twist you could play on that, and I still need to get back to talking about railway empires, um, but the funny twist you could play on that is if you took like the wackiest signal indication you could, which I know people are rapidly doing. They're running out of reasonable signal indications, and they're having to move on, excuse me, to other things. Um, but like, I wonder what the strangest named signal aspect from, say, the Pensy would have been. Because we're going to have to pull out my favorite chart in a second. Because I think it's time to make our first detour of the episode. What about Ghost of Dirt the Cat Productions? PR signal aspects. There's a CSX chart that I've always used to help me remember the PRR signal aspects. This one is much better. Yes? No. You can just leave it out for me. I'll go get it in a bit. This one is much better. Oh yeah, here it is. I found it. Hold on. We're gonna share this. We're gonna look at this together. Screen. And I can't see the stream chat when I do this. So I guess I'll do this. This. What about your waifu? If I had to choose between Trainz PC and user anime waifu in a single aspect, I'd choose my waifu. Nice. Ashcat Trainz. Welcome to Red Signal. Yeah, so this is not very entertaining. We have Advanced Approach, Slow Clear. Welcome to Restricted Proceed Productions. Welcome to Restricting Productions. Welcome to Switch Open Productions. Slow Approach or Slow Clear. Welcome to Clear to Next Interlocking. No productions, just that's the name of the thing. Yeah. Cab Speed Productions is it's genuinely not bad. Picked Switch. Advanced Approach, Approach Medium. There he is. Where humor is restricted. Literally CR 1984. Alright, back to work. I almost hit stop streaming again. Was this not working? Device disconnected or not available. You can't see it. Oh, this got broken because you guys couldn't see the thing. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you couldn't see my screen. I'll pull up the chart one more time for people that missed it. Screen. Control-Shift-T. This was the chart. You know what? Actually, I'll put this in streaming and recording so that if you're following along at home. It's one of my favorite charts. Horizontal and vertical, yeah. When I write about them, I tend to... What the heck is a Kust asset? I don't know what that is. What kind of asset is a Kust asset? Oh, these bushes. Yes. Good, Orion. Central bad. I have not used a Kust asset as far as I know. Anyway, back to copying and pasting some blocks of trees. Let's just grab this. And let's do this. And I'm doing it again. I'm doing this before I do the thing. They're super detailed. Yeah, they looked really nice. They do look really, really nice. And I might have to use them in the future. I don't know where I got them. I think all the ones that I have are just tree. I think they're just called tree. So, cab speed, yeah. But I don't know, detour. Are spotlights legal on civilian cars? Probably not. I would check with your local municipality's laws, but I'm going to wager no. Spotlights. Probably not. I don't think. I feel like most things that aren't immediately for your navigational ability, like even light bars, are kind of questionable in some places, in some jurisdictions. Not necessarily because of the rule of law or anything, but possibly just because. I mean, why do you need a light bar? If you're off roading, I get it. If you live in the sticks, I get it. Why do you need a light bar in downtown Providence? Um, yeah, but like a spotlight, I don't think so. I've always wanted to throw on a couple of amber like rotary lamps. If I ever finished doing the mods I want to do to my wagon, uh, a pair of amber rotary lamps that are wired to a switch in the cab, or in the cab in the cabin, because I have an extra spot for a switch. That would be great because sometimes I need those, or for no particular reason. Well, sometimes I am genuinely doing stuff for work, and having some rotary lights when I'm parked on the side of a highway trying to look at a bridge would be nice. However, maybe not strictly legal. Light bar spotlights. Oh my god. They're legal? I hope so. I mean, I hope you're not breaking the law, is what I mean to say. But, like, spotlights are totally legal according to Google. Okay, that doesn't really surprise me. Um, I suppose as long as you're not just, like, blaring it at people on the highway, it's not a bad thing. I just think of the terrible things that people could get up to with spotlights strapped to their cars. Uh, I mean, I don't know if more lights are gonna have. If we can have 50 rifles, we can have spotlights. Well, I guess. Uh, it's just sort of, if something seems questionable, it probably is. So it's always smart to just go, go look it up, go check, Google it at least to figure out. Okay, is this legal? Can I do this? If you have to ask the question, you probably should ask the question. Um, of the authorities. But yeah. So now I can complain for a different reason and not say, well, it's illegal, so you shouldn't have it. I can say, well, what the hell do you need that for? And I know there are valid reasons where you could have big lights attached to your car. Some people will need those. Some people will use those. However, nobody around here is going to need them. That's for sure. If But it's not like it would stop anyone from doing it if they were banned in the first place. Like my amber rotary lamps, I feel like the idea is if you're going to break the law in a motor vehicle, really try to only break one law at a time. Like, don't be speeding and not have your seatbelt on, that sort of thing. Um, the more laws you're breaking at once, the more likely you are to get pulled over. Has the lore been updated, expanded? Not too much lately. I haven't had a lot of time to put into this. Most of my writing time has gone to Iron Horseman, the motion picture, the novel. Which, if you don't know what that is, I mean, I can give a brief explanation, but my full explanation is tune into Coffee Shop on Monday and take a listen to Chapter 3. If you are in the Discord. But breaking 5 laws at once, yeah, it does get you to achievement. The achievement is called Do Not Pass Go, Do Not Collect $200, Straight to Jail. Alright, you go to the Slamma. Let's move these around. I'm gonna trim these trees a little bit. Sounds like an achievement to me. Okay, Matt. Don't try to... The achievement is being banned from Rockstar. All your shark cards are worthless now. Okay. but with OSHA guidelines. Mopac, we know. We know. Okay. So we need to put the roads in to these fields. Also, is this Road River? No, Road River is the next river. We'll get there when we get there. I will show you where Road River is in a second. I'm just going to mark this edge with some dirt trails. So Road River is this one here. Like the next thing is, once we get the scenery up to about here, we've got to make the river and make the bridge. And then we have to build terrain down to about here, which is the height of Bellington. Oh, hi, Shoreline. We are working on something relatively uninteresting. I just have to do farm fields down to here. I have to do farm fields from this river, which I don't think we gave a name, but whatever, the Pan Am River, to the Road River, which is over there. Don't mind these big green spaces. We've got to trim those later. But I was just doing stuff along the riverbank, and yeah, I think we're just going to sort of take this one piece at a time, in no particular order, just as it comes to us, working from one river to another. Road River Airstrip, yeah. I've been seeing Owlet recently. 80-foot flat car, excavator, and ramps to get into the Tygons. Oh, yeah. Casual maintenance of way work. See, I forgot you were working on a route and just assumed that your whole deal was automating Tidewater now. Which I was very happy about, mind you, but... Anyway, Berkshire Run cause Pan Am Railroad. Berkshire Run is a good one. That is a really good name. I don't know if I'm going to put down an official name for it, but if I do, that's something that I definitely am going to keep. Oh, don't worry, you're still working on that? Awesome, awesome. Let me know if you run into anything that you want some advice with, or just commiseration because you can't get something that should obviously work to work. Not that I have any experience with that. I'm glad you learned about the time skip issues with the coupling. Let's put this over here. And, oh, this route will be automated? Awesome. I love to see automated routes. They're my favorite thing in this game. Road River branch and nod from the Milwaukee Road Western branch that actually became profitable. Yet. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be another branch line over here. Maybe an abandoned one if we're really lucky. But I just don't think I feel like putting together another empty branch line. Ponderant reskins, making them complete. What is this? What do you say? Reskins makes them complete. Well, I need a reskin. I need to get my freaking... Yeah, I need to get the mic. I need to get Magic Mike to be less magic, is right. Road Creek branch on my route. Process of being torn up. Okay, that's cool. Let's move this back to here. Road River Racetrack. A speedway out in the middle of nowhere would be an interesting vibe, I'll say that much. Makes me think of what's been going on in the Geiger region as of late. Alright, we're going to try to line this up. Or maybe we're not, because that's hellish. Small dirt track. Well, I say speedway, and I mean nothing exciting. When I say speedway, I do mean just like a dirt track. Yeah, we're going to try to get everything to line up here. I don't know how well that's going to work. Gaytona. Is that what the one in Tolbert is named? Gaytona? The Ballad of Gaytona. It's my favorite DLC for Grand Theft Foamer. Grand Theft Oh No. Alright, let's yeah, we're gonna have to fix the blocking on these. Because this is not good at all. It'd be a nice nod to some place where I come from. Outside of the small town I lived in, there was a redneck racetrack at a small river. Maybe I'll put that in. That'd be nice to have. No train station, though. Yeah, so maybe down here, either close to the river or in between the rivers. Actually, over here on this side, well, no, on this side might be more interesting because you got to think about this river is like the dividing line between people that are coming from Pan Am and people that are coming from Bellington. I don't know though. We'll have to figure that one out. Ping me. Oh, Vert's seen the signal chart. Vert knows the signal chart. All right, let's like I said, continue with this. To here. I'm gonna try to keep these sort of like grid aligned to themselves as best I can. Last stop before bricks. Alright, there we go. Big racetrack outside of Gilson City. Yeah, honestly, a racetrack or a stadium of some kind outside of Gilson City. I mean, we do have sports, right? I wrote down a total of 5 football teams, like American football teams. And Gilson City has the Tolbrin Mariners as their team, which was also my name when we did the fantasy football leagues in the Iron Horseman Discord. Which that was a lot of fun, and I hope we do it again this year. Which we may not because participation dwindles, but you know, maybe this year we have a different group of people. I know we have a couple more sports fans that have joined recently. I think Raya is one of them. I feel like he would be game for fantasy football. But anyway, yeah, having a big stadium, not just for race courses, but also maybe for that. Also having a horse track somewhere, and also maybe even if we want to take things a step farther, think about it, it's the 1950s, we could have a dog track somewhere, a greyhound racing track. And that would be really interesting. I've never looked into very much about the dog track, exactly. TJ and I are on the same page. I've never looked into much about greyhound racing. I mean, I obviously not to question the not to question the questioning of ethics. That's not what I'm getting at. But my parents owned a greyhound who had formerly been a racing greyhound when I was very, very little. So there is a little bit of connection between me and sort of greyhound racing, in the most tenuous way. But, it's something that interests me at the surface level. I think the thing called Sports Haven on the side of 95 in New Haven used to be a dog track. Oh, interesting. I had no idea. But yeah, having a dog track would be very, very neat. It would be one of those things that you don't think about too much, but it's clearly a sort of marker of the times, Something else that I'd like to have that I hadn't even really thought about until this very moment, but I'm sure Weibold would like this. I should put a Navy Yard in either, in either Gilson City at, proper, or on Meridian Isle. So definitely thinking about things to add to Gilson City when we get there. A state fair. Yeah. having a state fair somewhere, or like a fairgrounds in general. I could see that being more in Wombeck, um, or being, uh, or being, yeah, either in Wombeck or in one of these other places. Oh, you know what? I just deleted road that I kind of wanted to keep. How big of a navy yard? Honestly, probably close to Boston Navy Yard. I don't think I'd want to go much bigger than that. And Boston Navy Yard, Charleston is not. It wasn't the smallest thing in the world, certainly, especially in the 50s because the war had just ended. But it was also not the largest. Certainly it was nothing like the Brooklyn Navy Yard or Newport News, uh, or Norfolk. But a great warm Boston talk. Uh, Listen, we don't need to have that kind of Boston talk right now. Not here. Um, but why are you people still talking about it in here? Oh, never mind. Um, anyway, uh, and Iowa's in said Navy Yard just for. Yeah, no, we had. Aren't we in an alternate scenario? We aren't in the USA. Yeah, no, we aren't in the USA. I'm just looking at sort of examples, and I am sort of vaguely trying to find the the timeline. I'm trying to align the timeline. It's very similar to the Northeast USA. Um, I don't know if we probably did have an Iowa or two visiting one point or another. There are some great photos of battleships, many battleships in uh, Boston Harbor. But somebody just called me. Somebody just texted me. There we go. Put that to the side. I am actually going to look and see USS Iowa Boston Navy Yard and see if there are any. Oh yeah, there's a picture of the Iowa at the Boston Navy Yard in 1943 as an Alamy stock photo being overhauled. Um, let's see. That looks like an Iowa to me. I'm gonna put this in. Also, I believe Boston Navy Yard and Charleston Navy Yard are two different things. Um, because Boston was closer to Boston proper, and Charleston was like on the north end. What about having coal and ore docks in Gilson City? Maybe at the seaport, but those would probably be coal and ore docks would almost definitely be in one of the other cities. They would probably go in. Let me check the map really quick. But I'm thinking either Zion or Tidebow, or let's look at this. Zion or Tidebow. Yeah, so there's another town past Zion that would probably be one of the deepest water ports on the peninsula. And that's where we would see ore boats and coal boats and those sort of loaders and docks. So especially because all the coal and iron ore would be going through Zion anyway, because that's where the steel mill is. One of the things that I'm looking forward to in Tolbrand, both now and in the future, is building these humongous sort of marquee industries of like, you know, it's the steel mill, it's the oil refinery, these industries that in reality are enormous and require a lot of rail attention and have many inputs and outputs and that sort of thing. One of the things that I could see myself, doing in the not so distant future is upgrading some of the industries that we already have in in this area. As other industries in Tolbrand come online that could use them or make use of them. One of the ones that comes to mind is either the shipbreaking yard in Mason's Landing, or the recycling facility in Mason Valley. A bunch of fairs started in the late 40s, gathering a bunch of vintage steam construction and farm tools would be fine. Oh, okay, that's cool. Maybe we could have something like that. I don't know where though. We ran in a part of the abandoned narrow gauge where it was restored. Mango gobbles. Actually, I could see that happening down on the south coast, and a lot of the stuff I'm pushing to the south coast because we're sort of running out of big. We're running out of big settlements on the north coast. Olive is the largest in terms of population, although Bellington and South Bellington combined are probably larger. And so we're going to be doing that soon. And then on the other issue is on the north coast where we are, there isn't a lot of ocean access. So that rules out, large ports, it rules out large ships. The next time we will be touching the ocean on the north coast is we need to get through Bellington, we need to get through the next town, which is another, it's about from Bellington to Pan Am. And I'll share my screen here so you can see what I'm looking at. Bellington to this town, which doesn't have a name yet, to Raven Bridge through the tunnel, and then through this town here, and then we have this junction, and then this goes to the water. But this is not going to be a major industrial hub. There might be a little bit of industry here, but there isn't a lot of, notice how short this river is. There wasn't a lot of industrial buildup in this location. Big fertilizer plant. That'd be a good spot to have a car float that goes off the map. Oh, that'd be interesting. But yeah, I don't know what to make of this yet. In fact, it'll probably be, if I want to go back to Google Maps for a second, I already have Google Maps open, it'll probably be a little bit reminiscent of, say, Salem. And you have some much smaller, but you have some industry, but you never had the sort of, the head, as it were. You never had the drop in water level that would make the industry spring up here early. So it would have to show up kind of late. So you don't have the same sort of density of industry that you do in certain other coastal towns, like, say, for example, you have stuff in Quincy, and you have stuff in, this is Boston here. I was looking for, is this where I think it is? Yeah, so this is what I was thinking. This is, USS Salem. But, or like in Pawtucket, where you have industry that sprung up along a river because you have the head. Navy Yard could be a great small model railroad, yeah. Is that an area in New England where the bay is filled with the remains of wooden-hulled ships? That's probably more than one place, but that's Boston in a nutshell. There's plenty of sunken ships out here. There's plenty of ships that are buried. I know that when they were boring the tunnels for the Red Line, which, if they can show me the Red Line... Well, the Red Line doesn't... The Red Line caught fire and burned to the ground. If I could get a South Station... If I could see... Nope, can't see the... Oh, I saw it. Show me that. Let me see this. Red Line. Show me the Red Line. It will not show me the path of the Red Line. Whatever. It goes under here, is the point. And they ran into a bunch of ship hulls as they were cutting through with tunnel boring machines. If you really want an interesting thing, get a drivable ferry and make it leave the ferry dock and go along the whole coast. I wanted to do something like that with an ocean liner. Hi, Brian. I really wanted to do... Yeah, that happens a lot on the East Coast and on the West Coast. There are a couple in Providence that I can pick out, Orion shipwrecks. But I wanted to have an ocean liner that came along the coast here, shot the gap here, which I don't think I ever gave a name to this town, to this little town over here. Shot the gap here and then kept going along the coast. The only thing is, we've gone so far from the coast, which is still up here somewhere, there was no way that I was going to go through and do all the ocean tiles for this. What are you talking about? What are you doing, Brian? Oh, fan chat. I'll take a look at that later. Ping me if I don't. Yeah. The issue, again, with the North Coast in particular, is that Edmonton job hunting did a little foaming. Cool. I did a little foaming today. I saw a Province and Worcester ethanol extra with 3 unpainted units on the head. So stuff that is still in Province and Worcester, hasn't been repainted into G&W. So they must not leave the shop very often. They probably live in Worcester to take these ethanol trains down. Extranol, yeah. So yeah, I saw that. Make a branch line along the coast, Coastal Prince Express passenger train. Yeah. Well, we have... Oh, you guys can still see my screen, huh? Notice that we have these 2 little vits here, just and from Southport and from Saugus to Southport, and this unnamed town to this unnamed town, which are really not so much towns. These are just locations in the larger whole of Gilson City, which is going to cover most of the tip of this and also most of this island here. Yeah, still in PNW. The thing is, there's only one paint shop that they can get at, and it is in St. Albans, Vermont. So if they don't feel like sending a unit up to St. Albans, it just doesn't get repainted. It stays in PNW for all time. And that happens a lot because St. Albans is far away and they have to shuffle around all these locomotives to get a locomotive up to St. Albans. So, yeah. So the stuff stays in PNW for a while. Even the first locomotive to be repainted, I don't think appeared particularly quickly. It was a while, and then it was like, oh look, they're repainting stuff. It's also on the New England Central. Yeah, that's the other thing. They've got to shuffle these engines around. And beyond that, there are some paper barriers that keep them from doing that. What about an express train that's only for scenic views on the coastline? I don't think anyone would fit the bill to make that. Like, I could see some things being used for that, but you know, no one's gonna spend the money to do that. If anything, though, a lot of scenic views on the run south here, but again, it's not along the coast. We do have this because this is very shallow, so they just built a causeway. The closest thing we have to a coastal run is this, from Meridian, from this to Dragon Point. Only paper barrier I know is with the Connecticut Southern. They can only interchange with CSX. Yeah, so, yeah, that's probably what I'm thinking of. It's down on the coast of Connecticut, right? It's like one left. Yeah, I don't know. It's the. I remember people that were working for them sort of complaining about the paper barriers many years ago. That's my experience with them. That's where my understanding of them comes from. It's not exactly encyclopedic knowledge. Honestly, Shoreline, I would trust you more than myself with basically any of this because you just have all the knowledge. Also, standard cab or wide cab. I don't know, Brian. You'd probably have to look that up. I don't know. I don't know if there are any wide cab ones, though. I don't remember seeing any wide cab ones, like, ever. Unless I'm forgetting what a wide cab looks like. I know you wouldn't, but I would. But I don't think that they have any wide cab Dash 8s. I'm not sure they ever did. Because I just don't remember seeing any wide cab units in my entire like every time I've seen P&W. I feel like it would stick out to me if they had it. Wide cab GE and P&W paint. Oh. Are you sure it was one of the GEs? Because very briefly, we got two larger locomotives. I think they were SD70 somethings that got repainted into P&W and then immediately sent to another G&W railroad. It was right about the time that we got right about the time that we got those locomotives, we got taken over. Hey, Mew, we're talking about the province of Worcester. It was in a Brian Solomon book on the chapter regarding P&W. Okay, well, I don't know then, because my next question was, could it be the other P&W? Because G&W owns two P&Ws. So that sometimes gets confusing as well. Had a 4-axle -8 or 2. No, we definitely have 4-axle -8s. I just don't think they're wide cab. I don't think they ever were. I don't know. But it was in red and brown. Oh, okay. Red and brown. They got repainted and they got repainted again. Oh, province of Worcester. Maybe they did. I don't know. I personally don't think I've ever laid eyes on a hey Falco. I don't think I've personally ever laid eyes on a wide cab -8 or even a wide cab on P&W at all. That doesn't mean they don't exist though. So, like I said, I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge. What was the farthest the PRR extended in what direction? I mean, they went all the way to like St. Louis and Chicago. They didn't go much past that. They're hanging around Worcester all the time? Oh, okay, well, maybe they use them for, like, Woger, you know? I feel like the stuff that runs down to here is always more or less the same set of locomotives that are all standard cab and, all relatively, whatever. O'Brien found them. Did the PR go to Canada? I don't think they went directly to Canada. They might have gone, they might have had a subsidiary over the border, but not one that I'm aware of. Again, I'm not going to pretend to be, just like the last thing, I'm not going to pretend to be the authority on this. If you find something that contradicts that thought I just had, then by all means, I am wrong. This isn't office hours. 4005 and 4006. I'm going to look these up. Unless you put them in streaming recording. Can you put them in streaming recording so I can see them? Let me hide my screen now. No, the PR, none of its subsidiaries reached Canada. Sad. What we really needed, what would have set the timeline right, is PRR de Mexico. That's, I think I did that in one of the merger manias. I had PRR de Mexico. What did I say? Or maybe it was New York Central de Mexico. I can't recall. It was just like normal thing de Mexico. Old Bachman K480 got a train show for $15 with DCC built in. That's nuts. Alright, I really have to... I think everything's straightened out now. I think all of these intersections are not cockeyed anymore, and I can start drawing in the fields in the way that they are supposed to be. I think. At least on this side. We've still got to do the... Oh, there's one. We've still got to do the other side. But this side, I think, is done. Runs like a dream. Well, you always like to see that. I would like my route to look better than, like, an AI-generated equivalent, you know? Sometimes I look at the way stuff has turned out and the way, like... through these copy-paste areas, I sort of look at what is supposed to be here and then what we got, and I go, this looks like a Dem made it. They put a K4 in Mexico. Um, the P-70s it's pulling, on the other hand. Pierre was in Fort Wayne. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Oh, there's another one that I missed. Alright, someone's either lighting off fireworks for no reason or shooting someone. You never know around here. Let's see. K4 is in New Zealand. They're gonna excavate like PR locomotives get so far and wide that one day they're gonna be excavating like a tomb in Egypt and they're gonna find a keystone. It'll be real. It'll be an astounding moment. It'll say that truly, they were built by aliens and oh yeah, I forgot about these. I guess I may have seen these before. I just don't recognize them. Like, yeah, that's weird. That is weird. I'm not sure I've seen these down here, certainly. At least not in a very, very long time. So they probably hang out in other parts of the PRR system, the P&W system. We have more fields that we can make. Tesla builds a K4 and has SpaceX landed on the moon. Well, actually, what's more likely to happen is they land on the moon and the PRR is there. Well, actually, I thought you were going to say Mars. I thought you had written Mars, which would be even funnier to me. Yeah, Curse of the Pigtails. It's like... I want to make an Iron Sky joke, but I don't want to compare the PRR to Nazis. Despite what some Central Foamers will have you believe. Even farther, Titan. Yeah. We finally get, like, the, is that Jupiter or Saturn, Titan? Is that, which planet is Titan around? Because they're supposed to launch, did they just launch the JUICE probe? The Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer or something? It's Saturn. Okay, damn. So I was gonna say, they're gonna get out there and JUICE is gonna find, like, a 4-track main line orbiting, you know. The New York and PRR sent engineers to look at the captured 1901, yeah. Europa is Jupiter. Okay, Europa is Jupiter. This is why, dude, you're an encyclopedia. I like to think I know things sometimes, and then you exist. Anyway. Ancient Aliens confirm steam locomotives are the ultimate life form. That's so cool. That's no moon. That's a roundhouse. Yeah, the streamlined V8 thing. Oh, it's so cursed. Dragonfly is a helicopter based on Ingenuity, launched Titan in the early 2030s. We'll know then. We will. Could write like an episode of Futurama about this. It's like it makes me think of the episode of Futurama where they had the robotic life evolve on the planet and then, like, reject the idea that robots were made by humans, and say that they evolved by themselves. I mean, didn't Galaxy Express had like a Samson or an S1 lookalike or something? But it was like a cross between that and a Big Boy. I can't recall. I don't watch anime, so I don't know. I just know that train fandom and anime have a lot of crossover. When the big boys dies. Last of the Giants. Alright. There we go. This one is way off. Let's mark this one off. And once this is done, we will do the other thing right there. Alright, no, you need to stop. Bryson, stop. No. El Nino Grande. Let's do that. Second Mercury's hit the Mercury. I was about to say remember when a planetoid hit the Earth and created the moon, but obviously no one here is going to remember when that happened. Nobody in my chat anyway. Maybe the doctor would remember it, but you guys wouldn't. But you know, that's just what I'm thinking. Imagine if that's how that worked, like in real life. You crash two trains together and you just get a larger train and a smaller train. Instead of, you know, carnage and the destruction of East Palestine, Ohio. The orbiting GS4. 4480. Okay, you've designed a Garrett, is what you've made. Bryson, you've designed a Garrett. And I don't appreciate it, because I don't respect Garretts. Mew, are you at the train club right now? Mew is live reporting. Alright, let's fill this in. We are going to get this done. And you know what? If we can get... Well, we still need to do the interior crocodile alligator here. But if we can get all this stuff figured out... God, it just goes on forever. It goes on forever. I just need to start at one end and move from there, because we're going to miss stuff if I don't. I know I mentioned it earlier, but I'm just not... I'm not following through. Let's see. Oh, I think that's forever. I just made a 25-mile bridge. Yeah, well, listen, man. Listen, man. I know my forevers when it comes to Trainz route building. Let's... And I'm telling you what, it won't be because it's going to take a really long time. Oh god, 1309. It'll be mostly because what's going to happen is I'm going to be running around looking for the issues every time, instead of doing the sensible thing and just going from one end. Over just water? Then what is the forever part? That's no work at all. Well, let's do this. I did that in Railroads Online. Alright, you know what? Actually, I'm going to end this road here. And I'm going to let this and this go together, I guess. Yeah, so let's break this here. Tonight on Bottom Gear. We launch a K4 into orbit using the patented train cannon. Remember the river level route? Yeah, I remember. Pepperidge Farm remembers. Alright, let's see. Let's see about farm fields. Let's grab this one. Alright, good night, comrade. I'm gonna set him in level route. Yeah, just lay tracks directly on the ground. Ties are overrated. Ballast is definitely overrated. I like how we had one community playdate where we returned to Railroads Online, and it was fun, and then we never did it again. I'm gonna turn this way down, actually. But It brought back Voyager 2. I think this was the plot of a Star Trek movie. I think it was the original Star Trek movie, actually. Star Trek the Motion Picture. Well, I mean, it didn't have a K4 in it, obviously, but it did have Voyager returning. Anyway, sorry, spoilers for how old is that movie? Oh, and for those who follow the real list and for fans of Star Trek and the like, I think the I think the movie for this week is going to be Galaxy Quest. I don't know when I'm going to get the chance to actually watch it with Gloria, unless we watch it tonight, which I don't think is going to happen. Um, because I have to frickin' because I have to learn how to play Railway Empire, which I still need to come back to. We didn't finish talking about that. Um, uh, the um, the movie for this week is going to be Galaxy Quest, which I am so excited to rewatch Galaxy Quest. It's been forever. I watched Saving Ryan's Privates. I mean, I might. Um, that'd be a thing. It's just not on the list. Like, I don't have a passion to show it to Gloria. What I want to watch is more Wes Anderson movies. Actually, I think we watched. Yeah, I don't think we've done Grand Budapest Hotel for the real list yet. You know, we haven't, and I really want to because it's probably my second favorite movie. Yeah, and we do have a real list on the OG Stargate, which was what opened the door to us actually watching the series. Because I was like, oh, we were watching through Archer, and for whatever reason we stopped being able to watch through it. I think it either changed providers or like we no longer could get on Hulu because we were. I don't remember it. I don't remember what transpired exactly, but it was just like, you know what? Now's the time for me to introduce you to this like my favorite TV show, Stargate, and so we put on that, and then we started watching the series. Um, but yeah, we do have a realist episode on the original movie, because you need to get over that hurdle. Although I did mention, not only in the episode, but to Gloria while we were watching, I was like, so much of this lore is about to get thrown out. Don't focus on it too much. You know, um, so much of the beginning of. Well, you understand copy and pasting, right? What? Me? Yeah, I copy pasted all this. I just this stuff is too close to the tracks for me to want to copy paste it. Um, but there we go. Point is, so much of the lore of Stargate gets thrown out the window immediately when the series starts, for the better, mind you. The original idea of Stargate was it was going to be a like a quadrilogy of movies, or a trilogy of movies, I think, each featuring their own gate, and there were only going to be like 4 Stargates in total, which doesn't really make sense if you think about it. Think about the device. Um, but, a lot changes between Stargate, the movie, and Children of the Gods, the TV special that started the series. Which, by the way, just going to put this out there for anyone who's hearing this and thinking, maybe I should watch Stargate. I don't know why you would be thinking that. I haven't exactly been giving it glowing reviews. However, it is my favorite TV show of all time. Probably my favorite sci-fi franchise, maybe my favorite franchise in general. Um, that isn't a super high bar to clear for me, but there it is. I think I know why this ride is taking so long. No, trust me, I've used so much copy paste, Um, but now this episode is basically all about me fixing my copy paste mistakes. Um, most scientific or Stargate knowledge comes from random scientific crossovers. Honestly, worth a watch. However, depending on where you're watching, the first episode, not the movie, the first episode, the 2-parter Children of the Gods, beware, there is nudity. Something that I didn't expect when I originally watched the thing. which I watched with my dad at an adolescent age, and it was like, oh, and my dad, I remember getting through the scene and my dad pausing it, turning to me and going, "Do you want to keep watching or is it too awkward?" And I said, "No, I'm okay. I'm okay. We can keep watching." And then we watched through most of Stargate SG-1, sort of sporadically, but I've seen a lot of the episodes. Remember Stargate starring Chris Pratt? No, I don't think he was ever in it. Chris Pratt, I almost said. Um, I don't think Chris Pratt was ever in Stargate. The dude who was the lead character in Stargate Atlantis maybe kind of looks like Chris Pratt. Tyler, I can boot up Not Tetris again if you want. Anyway, there we go. So, we've got this much done. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to sacrifice the time. Looked almost identical to Star-Lord, so I assumed it was Chris Pratt. That's really funny. Um, Maybe it wasn't Stargate? I don't know, man. But yeah, the lead in Stargate Atlantis maybe looks kind of like him. That's something that I might understand. Spaceballs is also something that's on the list. Thoughts on Firefly and Serenity? Really good. Really good. I know it Firefly really exists in this weird space where it's both over and underrated. Like, most people that have seen it tend to rave about it, but then there's always like that, well, it's not actually that good. It's just the pain of losing it after one season when it could have been extremely good and the world building was really good. Like, it was a shame that it got canned after a single season. There was definitely more there. It was definitely underrated in that respect. It could have done more for the studio. They didn't market it properly. They didn't release the episodes in the right order. Yada, yada, yada. Um, there's lots of problems with Firefly. I feel like it was definitely shortchanged. Um, a lot better than the crap that airs today. Well, I don't know. It really depends. It was a lot better than the crap that aired in its day also, is the thing. There will always be crap TV. As long as there has been TV, and as long as there will be TV, there has been crap TV. And some of it is wonderful guilty pleasure TV, like Love Island and stuff. But some of it is hidden gems and yada yada yada. Point is, Firefly and Serenity exist in this very unusual space where they are both underrated and overrated. They're a really cool show. They make a really cool world, a really great bunch of characters, the quippy dialogue that we've come to expect in sort of modern productions. Which I suppose you can thank Joss Whedon for in part. Um, but yeah, it's an interesting sort of situation to be in as a television show. That said, personally, my own opinion, I do really like Firefly and Serenity. They were, favorites of mine growing up. I own the box set. I got it as a gift. Um, and yeah, I don't really have a bad thing to say about them. I definitely got a crush on um, Jewel State from both that and Stargate Atlantis. So if you watch Firefly and you want more Jewel State, go check out Stargate Atlantis. Um, but yeah, it's well deserved. And yeah, for every good show, there's at least 3 generic NCIS clones. Also, Serenity was a really good way to cap off the series. I will say that. I also saw Serenity first, which was interesting. I feel like a lot of people have that experience. Um, Spaceballs, 10 out of 10. Ace Ventura is really good. Once again, one that I saw in the wrong... Actually, I'm not even sure if I've seen the first one. I've seen the second one more than once. But Yeah, Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls, was my introduction to that, and I did find it very funny. I definitely look back on that fondly. Um, but yeah, my favorite movies growing up was Godzilla franchise, Cars, and Battleship. Battleship is such a strange movie to rate. It is so fun. And I know a lot of like bad movies get to exist under the sort of guise of, well, they're fun movies. But the thing is, that's totally okay. That's totally okay. If you come to this movie for something and you walk out satisfied and entertained, it doesn't have to be a gripping story, a captivating plot, dynamic and interesting characters. You don't need to necessarily have uh, oh, hey, Ryan Steeman. Um, you don't need to have. It doesn't need to be an Oscar-winning movie to be a good movie. You know. Uh, oh, Princess Bride is something special. Princess Bride is fantastic. Um, something that I think I have to watch with Gloria. I just don't have the DVD. My dad does. Um, but I always had I I think I'm pretty sure I saw Battleship in theaters. And I remember coming out of it like I have no idea if what I just saw was good or bad, but I will watch it again. Um and I feel the same way, and it's kind of weird to put these two in the same breath because despite having a very similar vibe, they are not the same in terms of quality. Um Battleship and Pacific Rim. Pacific Rim is a much better movie qualitatively than Battleship. But at the same time, they have the same fundamental idea. If you came here to watch a big machine beat up on aliens, you're going to get what you paid for. If you go into Pacific Rim expecting a gripping story, motivating, characters that are dynamic and interesting. There are some interesting characters in Pacific Rim, don't get me wrong. Like I said, it's a cut above Battleship, but it's not very far above. Um, it is a movie about giant robots punching giant aliens, and that's what you get. Um, if you want a Godzilla movie where the people actually get to fight back properly, then or, I'm sorry, I don't know Godzilla all that well. I know there were many, obviously the world doesn't end every Godzilla movie, so the humans must figure out how to beat up Godzilla, right? Um, uh, Bryson, you can totally correct me or lambaste me, whichever you want. I know you're the Godzilla expert here. Um, but Princess Bride with Gloria. No, I haven't watched it with Gloria. It's been on the list for very long. Um, it's just one of those things. It was going to be like a Valentine's Day movie, and then I realized I didn't have a way to watch it. Um, so watch UHF. Oh, yeah, the Weird Al movie. Um, Friends are saying that giant monsters brawling with each other with some human involvement. Yeah, that's the thing. Okay, yeah. Um, I mean, we did an episode on Kong versus Godzilla, if I remember right. Oh, that which, honestly, despite me being feeling a little shortchanged by it because it's not really Kong versus Godzilla. Spoilers. I mean, they fight each other and then they fight Mechagodzilla together, which is cool. I do enjoy the world building in the MonsterVerse, I guess. Um, it just it is a movie I would watch again. There are some things about it that are genuinely interesting, and the fight sequences are pretty good. Um, The Wind Rises is definitely on my list, and I think it's coming to theaters here. They're doing a Ghibli Fest, and there are a bunch of Studio Ghibli movies that are coming into theaters here, and watch, I might go to see The Wind Rises with Gloria, because they expressed an interest in that as well. We've done a few Ghibli films for the Realist. I mean, we've done Spirited Away, which is their favorite. We've done My Neighbor Totoro, and we've also done Howl's Moving Castle, which is my favorite Ghibli film. Um, so Yeah. All right, let's see. We need to put this in. Yeah, so we're not going to get this whole side done this episode, but we are doing a pretty good job of getting this stuff done. Like we have this done. And actually I can probably delete this now. Steamboy was such a fun movie. I think it was one of those that like I enjoyed more than I expected to when I watched it again, and Gloria definitely seemed to enjoy it. I mean, more than I expected them to, but I think more than they expected to enjoy it. Um, and it's got the Ghibli vibes. You know, it's not a Ghibli film, but you know, it feels like it could be if Ghibli wanted to do a steampunk film. It would be similar to Steamboy. Um, Shark Boy and Lava Girl. That's one I haven't seen. Yes, Steamboy is free on YouTube right now. Definitely worth the watch. If you're a fan of that kind of film. If you're a fan of anime, if you're a fan of steampunk, definitely worth the watch. There we go. Forget that Ghibli exists. Yeah. You could always, feel like I would like to think that the real list may exist as like a, hey, you should watch this sort of list. I mean, we definitely give our opinions. Um, Sometimes movies are not so good. Definitely the worst movie we've reviewed for the real list was Space Jam 2. Um, still very glad that Gloria saw the carnival and convinced me to go to the carnival and not see Space Jam 2 in theaters when we were in Pennsylvania, because not only do I know I never would have heard the end of it, Gloria would have been absolutely right. Like, just for dunking on me. Hi, baby. Yes, baby. Hi.
Hi.
Talking about your favorite movie, Space Jam 2.
Gross. Disgusting.
And the thing with things like Man in the High Castle is I cannot afford to start another television series. Not only do Gloria and I have to finish watching Steven Universe for the millionth time, well, second time for me, millionth time for Gloria. Um, we have Archer to finish still, of course, and so much Stargate to watch. Oh, God. Well, you know what? I'll put that back in a second. So much Stargate to watch. So, you know, more TV series, including Firefly, will have to wait. That's the other thing. I don't actually know the proper watch order for Firefly. I've showed it to a couple of people, but mostly I just show them the episode Out of Gas, because that's like the best episode. But a finish Rick and Morty, yeah. Leave the originals alone and use actual creativity and leave politics out of it. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know anything. I mean, I know what Man in the High Castle is, and like I know what it is, but I don't understand how that's relevant. Not because I don't care for it, but just because I don't understand. I don't know anything about it. First season of DuckTales, I'm struggling to find time to watch the rest. Is it any good? That's the important question. There is something I just want to aside here for a second. There's something to be said about ham-fisted politics in shows, but for the most part, entertainment is always going to be in some way political. So saying leave politics out of it probably just it never works like that. You can just admit that you don't like the politics of a thing. It's okay. Um, but anyway, I was a fan. Okay. Um, Ghibli Train, Porco Rosso. That one I don't even know. Um, Dislike the hiring process. Why must you take 2 tests? I don't know. Why must you take 2 tests? It's interesting where like standardized testing has come into the world that isn't school. And by interesting, I mean terrible. I was never a hater of standardized tests. When I was in school, I was always reasonably good at them. not necessarily because I was smart, but because I was like a good test taker. I feel like too much of that has bled through, and now sometimes I'll approach a problem in real life as if it was a constructed test, and I'll say, I'll try to meta guess what the right answer might be, or use that application, use sort of a process of elimination, but process of elimination insofar as uh, what would someone writing this question put down as an answer or as fake answers. And that doesn't work in the real world because the questions that you face aren't designed. They just are. Um, so I'd like to think that while I never minded standardized testing and I don't have a personal vendetta against it or anything, I don't think it's necessarily very helpful. Um, Oddly enough, there's too much of a focus on the metrics and performance of whatever of the kids, and that's an easy thing to say, but you know it just seems unnecessary. I understand why it exists, but it seems unnecessary. It feels unnecessary. Anyway, Railway Empire 2. To come back to what I started talking about 2 hours ago. Railway Empire 2 and Railroad Tycoon 3 and the other things like it. I like the abstraction of rail cars. Now, I wish there was something in between. In between Railroad Tycoon and like OpenTTD. I would like OpenTTD to have something where you could take cars off of one train and put them on another. I mean, OpenTTD already maintains the car loads of a train when it's in the depot. They don't automatically disappear. And I think it'll keep those car loads until the whatchamahoosit, until you like manually refit those cars. Because I remember having cars that were like full of salt sitting in a depot for decades, and then I needed the cars for something else because I like to repurpose things, and they were still full of salt. I had to send them somewhere and empty them, or I think I just like force refit in the depot. But if you could use that kind of mechanic in OpenTTD, that would be great, which is something I've expressed before. But instead, maybe stuff got shuffled around sort of based on where your system thought it might need things. You didn't necessarily have to put cars in specific places. You just set up routes with locomotives as you do in Railroad Tycoon or the like, and the empty cars go to the place where the load is waiting at the station, and they go to the place. They obviously go get loaded, and then they go to the place where the load is needed, and then they try to go back. Because that's something that these games miss, which is the movement of empties, which is an incredibly important part of railroad logistics. And you guys saw yesterday, you guys saw last week me spend a solid 2 hours trying to figure out the logistics of empties. It's something that's, incredibly, eminently important when it comes to railroad logistics. Because they still take up a space in a yard. They still take up space on a train. I just wish more things cared about that beyond the OpenTTD style. Well, they're stuck to the engine, so when the engine goes back, the cars go back. What grades kids get? Bring back self-defense classes in PE. Prioritize music over sports. Honestly, sports are fine. They do get a lot more priority. I don't necessarily think prioritizing music over sports is a good idea, but not prioritizing, but giving more funding and time to extracurriculars like sports, music, um, and the arts that aren't necessarily, part of that are elective. Theater, AV stuff, and then clubs and things like that. It could do to be in there more. There are certain things like I don't think every student should have to take a woodshop class anymore. It would be nice to have it as an option though. I would like that to be an option for kids in schools, whether during or after. Home ec, I think, should definitely happen. I feel like that's more important than ever. The financial situation in the world is more complex than ever. Um, and, maybe not so much needing to balance a checkbook, but just learning how to save and manage your money and understand how things like interest rates work, that sort of thing. It's just basic beneficial, you know. I am hoping that with my generation coming of age and having kids and stuff, we will hopefully see a pushback in schools, as dictated by parents. Yeah, how to do your taxes. That's a good one, of course. Goes without saying almost. Parents that either remember these classes or don't, explicitly don't, because they didn't have them, and push for a recreation of these classes. Um, I don't think necessarily every kid needs to be forced to learn an instrument or sing or kick a ball or, build a birdhouse. But those things are good ways to spend your time and learn skills. Um, you still need to go through the basics. You still need to go through you need to achieve a certain level of understanding in important things, uh, biology, history, the sciences, mathematics, English, that sort of stuff. I do think the core courses in schools today are not bad inherently. Um, there's important things that you don't want somebody to not understand. Uh, Once I wasn't told that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Yeah, okay, that part might be a little excessive, um, but yeah, forcing a kid to do something is always guaranteeing them to hate it. It's one of the reasons my school has such luck with band because the group, while small, really wants to be there. Yeah, I mean, I don't know of any schools that force band anyway, but I'm thinking of just like arts classes in general. Um, oh, that's not what I want. Not everyone is going to care about doing art, and honestly, as nice as it is to be able to do, say, single point perspective or something, that's not, for most people, not a life changing skill if they never learn it. Uh, and again, I will say, and I know this is controversial, but I feel like the same way about something like woodshop. Like, for the most part, like doing stuff around your own house is nice, but for the most part, a lot of people are never going to use the things that they learned there. I mean, at the very basic level, you could teach someone about workplace safety in that, but you don't need every kid to build a birdhouse. It's a different kind of world. Now, if we want to sub that out with something that is more relevant in today's world, maybe a coding class. Call me crazy, but maybe that would be more beneficial to today's youth than a woodshop class. Uh, yeah, how to wash dishes safely. I mean, yeah, chores class. Um, yeah, coding like STEM, but just coding in general. I mean, it doesn't need to necessarily be under the STEM umbrella, but yeah, art stuff I'm talking about beyond elementary school. Elementary school, you're gonna have to force the kids to do everything. I do think that in an elementary school, having these sorts of things that your kid rotates through, or that a kid rotates through, like a little bit of band, a little bit of art, a little bit of a little bit of not wood shop because you're not going to hand a 5-year-old a hammer. or elementary school kids go up to 10, but even still. Um, but a little bit of this and that, yeah, to sort of get a grade school kid's feet wet in all of the things that they could do in the future in life. Um, and that is a mandatory CPR would be really neat. Um, even because they don't do the breaths anymore, so you're not just like kissing a dummy anymore. But anyway, just one of those things. Um, mandatory CPR. That's cool. I don't remember if we had mandatory CPR. I know I did CPR training when I started at my current company. Um, but I don't feel like we covered that again like in high school. But the point is, yeah, you got to get an elementary school kid's feet wet with everything under the sun and see what they have an aptitude for, and what they want to do. But once you get into high school, there could definitely be, or should definitely be, more options, more electives on top of the 4 basic courses. And then, sort of like a half of semester, or, a single semester, coding or computer knowledge class, um, and stuff like that, and maybe a half semester of, sort of workshop sort of thing. Again, doing stuff around your own house is nice, but fewer people, more people going into apartments these days, and stuff is getting more and more difficult to fix. It's things in a house get more and more complex. Just the more complex and yet more simple, just like out of reach. You know, um, I feel like say like an automotive class. Well, beyond the fact that hopefully we move away from our car-centric world in the not so distant future, um, so fewer people have to own a car in the first place. Cars in the modern era are getting, especially presume a shift to electric cars in large part. They are going to get just inscrutable. It's your problems are software problems now. They're not, you know, I've got something in my carburetor or whatever. I need to replace my spark plugs. They're just, I don't know, the computer isn't acting right. You know, so automotive class becomes locomotive class. Um, Cars are so complex that it wouldn't be ergonomic to teach in high school a half year course. No, that's fair, and that's also true. Uh, I guess if you wanted to do something like that, you could do very basic stuff. Changing a tire, that sort of thing, and that wouldn't even necessarily have to be a half a semester or whatever. It would just be like hey, this week we're gonna do the whatever. This is something you should know before you're out on the road. Sponsored by AAA. Um, anyway, electrical engineering driving, yeah. Um, having the same destination with trucks to convoy them with a single driver. We have them and have had them for over 200 years. Yeah, huh? Have I heard that before? Anyway, all right. Hold on. Just need a stretch. Need a second. Um, back to the topic at hand. Back to Tolbrand. What is the steepest grade on this route? And that is a really good question. And for that, we're going to go to the map because I need to speculate. So let's take a peek at the map. Also, I'll hide this for a second. Brownmoor. Let's look at the map. So, steepest grade. We'll go with standard gauge because I don't know how steep the grades are going to be in the narrow gauge. They'll probably blow everything out of the water. We know it's not over here. Even the VMR doesn't get that steep on this side of the peninsula. The Gilson Eastern doesn't really break 1% anywhere. The Mansfield Branch Railroad, probably not. Maybe this abandoned section would have been a little bit steeper. Um, and then everything over here is quite flat. Um, Now, the steepest grade, well, we have the 2 foot gauge, which the steepest grade is probably between Emden and this town here. Um, but the steepest grade is probably along this somewhere, which is technically not a main line, but it would have been the line between Summit and Gilson City, and it would have connected through the mountain to here as a trip all the way from Akron over there. Otherwise, we're talking about steep grades outside of Summit here because this is the highest point on the VMR, and then it drops precipitously, and then it drops very slowly, and then it drops at a medium rate down this whole river valley, very consistently down this whole river valley out into the bay there. So, but building this stuff is going to be crazy. This would have probably been the steepest because getting from Albion up to here and then beyond, out of crazy. Out of curiosity, you have the abandoned narrow gauge mapped. Most of the abandoned narrow gauge would be this 2 foot gauge, which you can see here, here, and actually that was never built. So I don't have like the abandoned narrow gauge here at Olive mapped, but that was a very short thing. And I don't have the Gilson East, or sorry, the Volga Mountains Railroad, no, the Geiger Mountains Railroad at this time is basically hitting its peak. So there isn't any abandoned trackage here yet. Either way. I will fight to make it not abandoned. Edithville but Tolbrand. Yeah. But yeah, this stuff on the Iron Setter Isle is abandoned. This is abandoned. And then this is practically abandoned. There's like 1 train a day in each direction north of Emden. The 2 foot gauge is really, really sad. I have enumerated the problems with it before. There may be some steep stuff like here along this run to Rock Hill, but I think this is electrified. The lore, yeah. There's a lot of lore on this map. We're talking, I think, iron mines up here by Tombstone. So long iron trains coming through Tombstone to Kingston, and then they double back to Zion because this is where the steel mill is, and then they go to here, which is where the port would be for the iron and coal boats. There also might be some stuff in Meridian because this is the largest seaport here. Electric mine train could be cool to do this steep crap. Yeah, that could be some of this. Permission to write ghost stories and such for this route. You can write whatever you want for this route. I can't necessarily mark everything as canon or not, but yeah, I've been working on lore on and off. You are welcome to write things about this. I might not always agree with everything, but I'm never going to complain about someone doing lore. Anyway, back to work. If it's said in the chat, it's canon. With 2 N's, mind you. As in, we're launching it. Okay. Okay. Porter. No, it's train cannon. Wait, Ellis, have you put a cog in? No, I don't have a cog. I don't know where I would put one, if I'm honest. There isn't really like a marquee peak. You know? There isn't like a serious mountaintop that exists on this map, at least not one that I've identified yet. So that remains to be seen. What was the other things? I knew I had to. Let me write some ideas down, by the way, because we came up with a bunch of good ideas earlier that I want to make sure don't get forgotten. Um, One of them is, let's see, Tombstone, Trainz, Gilson City needs a rewrite after redesign. Um, Zion, uh, town, shoreline town to the southwest has ore and coal docks for export. That was one of the things that came to mind. All right, and I wanted to put in Gilson City. Uh, oh, I forgot about this. Um, in city and a station away from Union Station. Let's see. Needs horse slash dog track, race track, stadium for sports teams. There we go. Navy Yard. Here or on Meridian Isle. Meridian Isle is supposed to be a fairly upscale place, so we'll see about that. Math car. I'll see you shortline. Anyway, let's do this here. I have at points gone through and tried to figure out what this map would look like in 50 years' time. You know, what would be left on the Toolbrand Peninsula? Probably one railroad, maybe two. So, yeah. Alright, let's do this. You guys are making me think of an XKCD that I'll probably post in stream and recording in a second. And then you guys will think about it every time you see a word with a hyphen. Alright. Let's continue working on this. My pizza is going to be very cold, but it's okay. Jivos now roam the Forgotten Land, yeah. Olive has been leveled by an explosion of crude oil or something. But don't worry, they donated a depot. Can I get that route picture later? Yeah, you know what? I'll actually put it in... Hold on. I'll put it in the Toolbrand channel right now. This is the most updated version. And I'll just do that. And I will also do this, because this is what I was... There it is. There it is. Let me just put this in streaming recording so that you guys can see what I'm talking about when you say SCAR. But yeah, Bryson, I threw that in the channel we have for Toolbrand stuff. And there's also a link to the file for all the Toolbrand stuff, which includes the lore. A co-pilot for my mother in case the stream ends. See ya. Alright, see ya, dude. We had, I think, like 14 viewers at once, which is unusually high. Alright. Matt, if you don't have the time to look at Thomas the Magic Mike, see if he could delegate it to somebody who'd be interested in trying to figure that one out. I just need that effing Mikado so I can continue working on stuff without trains rolling off the edge of the map. That's my next hurdle, anyway. I think I'm going to extend this past here. And then for these, I'll just do a block of trees or something. Yeah, let's do that. Alright, hold on. I keep opening the track menu. I have the engine spec working, I just haven't got around to reskinning. Yeah, that's kind of what I figured where you were at. I know you're busy. Am I going to see you in West Virginia? Or are you not able to make it? I can't recall who's making it and who isn't. I suppose I could just check the channel and see if your name is green or not. Be there all week. Cool. Don't forget to bring your trading cards. Oh, nice. Maybe by then, well, by then I will have a website. I'm actually going to work on that tonight. Maybe I can get it up, because tomorrow, like I said, I'm playing Railway Empire, and hopefully that'll come with an announcement of, hey, website's open and open for business. Buy trading cards, you know? I might have to refund some people. Yeah, leaving in 9 days. I might have to refund some people that paid for the Kickstarter and never gave me their addresses, so that I don't know I don't know where to send their cards. I have, I think, 6 packs, well, 6 orders, comprising of more than 6 packs, of people that never responded to the survey, never gave me their addresses, and so they're just sitting here ready to get shipped out, and they're all paid for. Max quality route map. Yeah. But that's something. I would like to get the rest of these cards off my hands, because that'll initiate me making the third and not final, but the third batch, the third and important badge, which is the People's Choice badge. So yeah. Then we'll get. Thanks for saying that. I'll be sure to remember them. Yes, I want to play. I want to play a Royale if we have enough people in person, and I really also want to do Locodome with somebody in person. I don't know how that'll go. Gonna need to get like a little sheet to keep track of everything. Like, if you've ever played, like, I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh when I was a kid. I still have some Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and I play it online from time to time. But you'd always have to have the piece of paper of like, all right, let me keep track of the life points. Let me remember how many life points I have, how many life points you have. We gotta write this down, or otherwise, we're not gonna be able to store that in our heads. Because I was a kid. I mean, these days I might be able to manage it, but these days I'm not gonna try. So, I got all that, and like, Locodome is not more complicated than Yu-Gi-Oh! However, there are a lot of things to keep track of. So, let's see. I wonder if I could print out some sheets. Ooh, if I made sheets, right, and posted them on the website of like, you can download this PDF for a Locodome match. To help you keep score, or something like that. That would be interesting. Just a blanked out version of the Loco Royale sheet as well would be an interesting thing to do. It might help. But once I've got a website where I can put this all up, I just have to bite the bullet and like pay Squarespace. Originally, I was gonna have East and I were gonna figure it out, but I couldn't figure out what the aesthetics of the place were gonna look like, so it didn't continue from there. I had no ideas for the actual physical design of the site. I just knew what the features I wanted was. or were, I guess. Um, so we didn't get a custom website yet. Maybe we will in the future. I think you can do some pretty cool things with Squarespace overall, but I think at the end of the day, um, I'm gonna need a domain if I want like a custom domain. Really, if I want to do everything that if I'm gonna do everything that I want to do, with being able to buy like credits to put towards packs getting reprinted and things like that. But I think that's what I'm gonna have to work on tonight. I was gonna work on it yesterday, and then well, what happened is OpenTTD happened. There we go. Let's get this in. This is one of the worst aligned ones. And then we are, yeah, we're about to get to the straight section, which is nice. This orange texture I'm hesitant to use too often because it's very bold. Also, I'm a little bit running out of steam for farm fields. It's tough to just keep this up. But I definitely don't feel like changing it. Honestly, I'm just tired. I can just say that out loud. I'm just tired. I'm not sure if I'm going to wrap up early or what, but I'm tired and my head kind of hurts. So, we will see. I know we need forest over here. Now that we've come back to here. We need forest over here in this triangle. And we need a farm field here, and then we probably need this to go. What did I say the files were? They should be pinned. There's a pinned thing in the Tolbrand Peninsula thread. If you look in stream and recording, there's a link to a thread. And in that thread, a rare thread or Ratlin thread. Oh shoot, I didn't want to get rid of those. Put those back. Yep. Alright, now get rid of this. But yeah, there should be a thread, and then in that thread there should be a pin post, and in that pin post it's a Google Docs, Google Drive link, and in that Google Drive there should be many files. And the thread and the thread and the thread down in the valley. Yeah. Let's do this. Oh, and Derail Valley Simulator comes out soon too. Shoot. I gotta play that. That's why, man. I don't know. Coggers is gonna get real quiet, and also OpenTTD is probably gonna this server is gonna be the last one for a little while because I have other things that I really need to pay attention to, and then I'm probably gonna record. I mean, I'm almost definitely gonna record some Derail Valley. I'm interested to see all the changes and interested to see how my computer handles them. There's another Hearts of Iron expansion coming out, which I should probably spend time with when that comes out. I mean, I'm going to be reading the dev diaries for sure. There we go. Meanwhile, I'm going to check on OpenTTD and see if anything's gone crazy in there. I'm going to be able to properly maintain even if I felt the motivation. Yeah, I feel that. Let me minimize this. If I had a spare Ivan, I'd be willing to trade. Oh, you need to request access to the files? Oh, what the hell? You should just have those files. Let me give you access to the files. Share. Oh, because it's old link security update stuff. All right, now don't break anything in there. Um, at least you found him. I have an Ivan. I just don't think I want to get rid of it. Depends on what Matt might be offering when we get there. When I get there, see what people have to trade. Gloria will probably have their RGS 20s. Let me swear that I will not touch anything. If you break my spreadsheets, they'll be hell to pay. Just kidding. Um, you probably did give me that Ivan. Um, almost definitely you gave me that Ivan because I had not many cards and I just traded with you for lots of cards. So, yeah. It's the way it be. Alright, let's it's 9:28. I'm counting it down like the last day of school. That's how you know that I'm getting a little worn from doing farm fields and farm fields and farm fields. That's why I have to alternate these I do think I'm being more efficient with my time than I was when I was doing like 1 hour here and 1 hour there and 1 hour there, but that's why I have to alternate the um, uh, that's why I have to alternate the programming weeks with non-programming weeks. Are you Ellis with the long last name? That is me. That's me. Yeah. Admiral Tamalio just doesn't have the same ring to it. Let's do this. There we go. Need to get the corners. Need to make sure that there aren't any nails sticking up, so to speak. I don't want to see any grid lines that I have to come back and fix. And there surely will be, but I don't want to see them. I would like to miss them now. Catch them later. Do I have any malays? I don't have any that have been well, there are some that have been reskinned but not uploaded as far as I know. There were some Zion and Skyline, I think 2882s that were Ben Neal's. They got reskinned for me. I don't know if they ever got put up on the DLS, so I wasn't able to use them yet. Temalelio. Yeah, a lot of people say that. A lot of Temalello is a really common mispronunciation of my last name, particularly by telemarketers, it would seem. It's one of the ways you can tell. Usually when someone's trying to say my last name, just whatever comes out of their mouth, I go, close enough, and just let them go. Because some people, even when you correct them, they're just not going to get it right. They don't say it like that. They can't say it like that. Their brain just doesn't put sounds together in that order. And that's just the way it is sometimes. There are some of my coworkers' names that I'm probably never going to pronounce right. Or at least it's going to take me a lot of, hold on, pronounce it for me again. Okay, pronounce it for me again. And it's just like, we just live with that. I feel like we just live with that. I like how you have the industries balanced and situated. Yeah, I really try to keep my documentation up to par. Because it's how I keep things straight on the route. I mean, without that, I wouldn't know what's what. Ammo, and my interest you in. Yeah. Shoot. Do I still have a chunk in copy paste? Nope, I don't. Darn. I want to get this triangle, but that's going to be very difficult. Ellis Tangelo, yeah. if we can get scenery out to the signal bridge, that would be an accomplishment. Because then everything up to the signal bridge will be done. Los tortellini. Babadaboppi. Let's grab some trees. I don't know if this is too many trees. We'll find out. Okay, it's almost too many trees. We're going to have to clear stuff off the track. We're going to have to clear stuff off the field. And that's probably going to be the last one that we can do, not by hand. There. Here, I mean, honestly, this is not my preferred texture. Also, you'll notice that it comes up as not installed. I don't know why that is. I definitely did not go out of my way to third-party install this texture. I've been using this since the beginning. Alright, let's clear up the trees. You notice your typo now. Okay. Okay, we need to move these trees off the tracks, but to places where they're actually needed / useful. Oh, and I didn't put the... Oh, I did it again. I didn't put the stuff in. Maybe we'll just do that next time, because I don't feel like it now. Well, but we probably will do it. We've got half an hour. LST1 Steam Loco. Yes, I am speed. Alright, there we go. I don't... Maybe a missed opportunity. Maybe better that we didn't. I don't think we ever had Johnson say, I am speed. Which one would I want to be? Okay. If you were Steam Locomotive, which one would you want to be? That is a really good question, because... well, are you assuming... Are you asking, like, one that exists / existed, like... I would live the life of that locomotive through its eyes, so to speak? Because it would definitely have to be somebody that survives and gets around. It'd probably be like 844, you know? You see a lot of places, you do a lot of things. Or like 4449 or 611. I mean, being trapped at Strasbourg would be hell, but... Ellis is canonically 1309. No. No. But... like, which one would I want to be is such a weird, like, not weird, like, I'm not calling you out for it being weird, but it's a phrasing of the question that I never thought that I would exactly encounter. Because usually you tend to think about, well, what are you? You know, what is your train sona, right? And honestly, I don't have an answer to that question either, because I don't know what fits my personality. I feel like if I'm doing this, I'm not picking something that I like, I'm picking something that suits me, you know? I don't know how people tend to pick their personas or etc., but I feel like if you should pick something that suits you. You know, you should find something that feels like you fit in its skin or its fur, so to speak. Now, I don't know what I would fit in for a steam locomotive, because I don't think that I would be the PRRT-1, certainly. I'm not that flashy. I would probably be something a little bit older, a little bit more utilitarian. I feel like I wouldn't be the most, you know, I wouldn't have the sex appeal, TM, but I might be a little bit handsome for a steam locomotive. I'm not overly strong, but I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily worn out, at least not these days. Yeah, being like a B&M thing, it's just, it's a tough question. You know? it's a really tough question, I feel like, to find out what would really fit me. And I come back to something kind of chunky. Um, I don't know why. Something chunky, but not that not that like new and powerful and whatever. Hmm. I don't know. I am a northern. Well, that's a little non-specific. I was thinking if I was a northern, the thing that I keep coming back to is one of the Milwaukee Road Northerns because they were pretty good looking, but they weren't intentionally good looking. They just had a certain style to them that worked. Um, and they are pretty powerful. I mean, a Valley Railroad 40, Everett 11. Everett 11 is a really interesting pick. I actually could jive with that, but I don't necessarily want to pick something that's a survivor that well known. I don't know. There's something strange to me about picking a specific locomotive of this class, but Everett 11 is an interesting one because it didn't end up where it was supposed to. It's sort of a trendsetter. Um, it's a Rhode Islander, um, but I wonder if I could pick something that would be fairly important, but not very large, but still very decent looking. Maybe uh, maybe one of the Uinta 062s. I like that. Maybe that's a little too rugged for me, but they're not very powerful. They are pretty good looking. They serve a definite purpose, you know, and they were beloved. Um, I'd like to think I'm a little beloved. Uh, but yeah, I mean, trying to think of. Hmm, it's a tough call. I don't think I'm like super old and flashy. No, not preserved. No, I missed some of the. Yeah, Bryson just said, which one would you be? Which one would you want to be? I was sort of speculating about wanting to be preserved because if I was living through a certain locomotive's eyes, then obviously I'd want to live for a long time. In fact, Everett 11 is probably a really good choice for that because of the life that it's led. Um, but yeah, it's a tough question for me because I just don't know where I fit exactly. Maybe, if we're coming back to maybe stuff built in Rhode Island, I could see myself as maybe one of the CNS consolidations or something. Uh, but it's not these engines that didn't travel. They didn't travel particularly far from. They traveled far from where they were made, which doesn't really work for me. Um, Bless you. Cat just sneezed. Um, what is an extraordinarily lucky locomotive? And we're not talking about one that survived, but one that was in the right place at the right time to get a lot of attention and be sort of a star of its era. And I don't want something too big either. Um, Something that maybe wasn't designed to be a star but worked out to be one. And I am hesitant. Something again. I don't want to be too big. 3001, a Hudson, the Bachmann 060, and that New Haven Mikado. Yeah, okay, okay. I see the argument for a lot of these. Um, let's bring it a little bit smaller. Um, the Mohawk is an interesting one though. I mean, I was cast as a Mohawk once, so there is that. Um, maybe something kind of want to feel unique. Clinchfield 99. What is Clinchfield 99? Let me look this up. Clinchfield 99. Oh, that's an interesting one. Survives? Clinchfield 99. It's a Rogers 10-wheeler. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, ICRR 382. Okay, yeah. Hmm. That's an interesting one. Valley 40. Yeah, Valley 40 is a good one. Be the Inyo. Hmm. I feel like the more I think about it, the more I am really torn between the idea of being a passenger locomotive because I feel like I'm a relatively sort of people person. I mean, obviously I have a YouTube channel, so there's that. Um, but I don't. But I want to be utilitarian. So I wonder. I wonder if there was a sort of mixed but slightly more passenger locomotive that could have been a little bit odd but worked out in the end. I'm giving off some really bizarre criteria. What is 107? I don't see it yet. So be a 460. Yeah, a 460. I'm leaning in that direction, and I was actually sort of thinking of one of the G5s. Um, Reasonably snappy, bit of a crowd pleaser. It is a 460, so it is, a utilitarian design. Um, yeah, it's a little too old for me. Um, are there any canon disasters in this route's lore? I can't think of any. Well, actually, there's a natural disaster anyway. Um, I don't have any train wrecks figured out, but there was a major hurricane which did a lot of damage and affected the futures of various railroads in the on the peninsula. I mean, you and I could be forced to do so, buddies. Um, Make your first one. I would need to figure out how to put it into lore properly. There is a derailment. There is some just like junk in the bushes. That's true. That's a good point. Um, Stocky but high stepping 460. Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe a G5. Maybe a G5 or something derivative. Something like that. Maybe something a little closer to home. I'd have to look through the B&M roster and see if there is an acceptable 460 in there because being one of the G5s is a little bit more stamped out than I would like. Um, so got to think about that too. A 210 of German origin. Oh no, don't be one of those. Oh no. Um, this looks a lot more done than earlier. Prominent locos on this route: one diesel, one steam, one electric. BMR 1355. 1355. I don't know about. I would need to look into. I would need to look into it. We can go through in a minute once I put the grass in here. Um, Prominent electric locomotives. There aren't a ton of longer distance electric locomotives that would have been rostered by anyone on this railroad because there isn't a lot of long distance electrification. But the box cabs that handle Skyline Tunnel would probably be one. Oh, sorry, not Skyline Tunnel, Alduin Tunnel. Um, would probably be some of the most well known. No, I'm not 1360. Come on, I'm not a Lee. I'm not the him. Uh, I gave away that voice role for a reason. Um, what? That's Diesel, or that's one of the Vuds for Diesel. 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 Um, I don't really have a lot of diesel locomotives down right now. The Geiger mount, sorry, the Vut here. The Gilson Eastern had some really sharp-looking E units with the later paint scheme, which have been reskinned, but I don't think they've been uploaded. Um, B&M C19B. Can you throw down a C19B in streaming recording so I can see it? Because I would like to. I'd like to know. Um, yeah, the Danbury Mogul is 1455, but I don't think I'm a mogul. I think I'm a little bit later on the scene than that. I feel like I'm a little younger than that. I think a 10-wheeler is where it's at, but also I was considering an Atlantic, but there weren't really any freight Atlantics or big service Atlantics. Um, I don't. I feel like 460s get a little bit pigeonholed um, as older locomotives because the wheel arrangement is so old. Um, but they are they were for a long time one of the best jack of all trades wheel arrangements out there. I mean, a 460 can do just about anything at a medium level. Once you go into locomotives that are larger than that, you get into Mikados and Atlantics and uh, Prairies, which are never really good for mainline service, um, unless you're the Pensy, I guess. What is that? The N20 something or the J20 something? The PRR things. Maybe I would be one of those. If I was a PRR engine, I might pick one of those. Um, the PRR prairies. Um, I was thinking of being a hippo, but yeah, I like the C19s. They've got piston valves. They are a little bit more modern. They were modernized, built for the Fitchburg Railroad. They definitely weren't. The C21 definitely looks like not clapped out. Some railroad disaster, Pan Am disaster, Raven Bridge boiler explosion. Um, I don't know about anything up here, but the Raven Bridge disaster definitely strikes me as like an Ashtabula horror sort of situation that might have happened. Um, because you've got the tunnel and the bridge right there. Although the Raven Bridge disaster could have been early enough that it would have been before the tunnel was completed. I don't think the tunnel itself would have been a disaster, sort of like the Hoosick Tunnel was, but I could definitely see a major wreck marking the end of the Mansfield Branch portion. And maybe that's why it's intact but abandoned. You know, I have been waffling on whether to. Most of the C19s lasted longer than the C21s. I still might pick the 21s. I still kind of like them. Look at that. Look at how done that is. Yeah, but I like the C21. I really do like this. The tender truck's a little weird. It's reasonably high stepping. It can definitely do mixed service. It's a handsome enough locomotive. It looks a little bit less derpy than the C19s. Um, the C19s were probably, I mean, they lasted longer, so I would assume they were better engines. Um, they look like better engines. I bet if you paired them up, the C19s would come out on top. They look like they have a better, uh, they have a better set firebox. Um, they have outside motion instead of inside motion. Although, is that Southern valve gear? Um, these screenshots of the Ravenbridge area, not built yet. Check the map. Ravenbridge is about, from where we are standing, Ravenbridge is about 20 to 30 miles in this direction. You don't see any southern. I can't identify southern valve gear yet. I just know that the B&M liked it. Is that just like weird Wally on the C-19? I just don't recognize it. Check the loco base, see what it says. I sent a pic of the as built in 04. Oh, it's 2. I like how it's just number 2. That's fantastic. Train explosion of 1948. Boxcar loaded with ammo detonated at throwing boxcar 15 feet away from the tracks. That's an interesting one. I'll hang on to that idea. Maybe it'd be a little bit earlier, but I will keep that in mind. You keep that under your hat, okay? We'll talk about it. Once I get to starting to write out the history of the Mansfield Branch Railroad. Ravens Bridge on the other side of the mountains. There are some mountains here. Hold on, let me show you where Raven Bridge is. So we are here, right, between Pan Am and Bellington. If you keep going this way, you go through Bellington. The Voot branches off. The Mansfield Branch Railroad is this purple. Runs through another town here, and then to here, which there's going to be a tunnel here, which this is the only part of the line that narrows down to 2 tracks. Everything else is 4 tracks all the way through. It's 2 tracks through the tunnel, 2 tracks across the bridge into the town of Ravenbridge. On the far side of the bridge, on the tunnel side, there is a sharp turn where the line curves off to run south to join with what became the Mansfield Branch Railroad. But originally, the Jefferson and Gilson main line, which was the previous owners of this, which merged to form the Gilson Eastern that we know today, the main line went up this way and around because this mountain range was thought to be pretty impenetrable. So yeah. I like the way this area turned out. And look how well that came together. We've got 5 minutes left here, so I don't really have much to do now. But I think I'm gonna pick 2103 as my Trainz Sona for now. Maybe a different member of this class, or maybe, yeah, I don't know why these look just a little bit more stately than these. Even though these look genuinely better. Also, look at the dynamo setup up there. Anyway, it's not 2102. Yeah. Buy trading cards. Anyway, I gotta go work on the website. I gotta go eat some cold pizza and work on the website. I'll see you guys next week. This is the Admiral.